Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we lost in the first round for the third consecutive season, losing to the Anaheim Ducks. In 7 games, we did have, I'm pretty sure it was a 3-1 series lead at one point, and then unfortunately the team just completely lost all its offense in a sense, and we could not win this series, unfortunately. And then also Vegas went on to win the Stanley Cup, which is unfortunate because Vegas took us out the last 2 years before this, and now they won a Stanley Cup. So technically, I feel like we should be at that point where we're winning Stanley Cups and not them, but apparently that's the case. So. And yeah, we have a really tough offseason ahead of us with our contract situation because more guys are pending UFAs, and there's also all our RFAs who are going to be UFAs in the next few seasons. So I feel like we might be taking a step back soon with this team, and this team might go into a little bit of a retool in a sense, and then hopefully if we could get some good draft lottery picks in a sense, hopefully those guys could come in and accelerate this for the last 8 seasons or whatever. We have 10 seasons probably around, because we just want this team to obviously win a Stanley Cup, and I don't think we're going to get there with all the players that we currently have. Obviously, I'd like to keep most of them if we can, because a lot of them are pretty good players. For example, like Derek Keith, he's been a very good player. Hartnell looks promising, I say, for the future. Paired as somebody I'd like to keep. Zikov, Jorgensen's already signed here long term, so. But guys like Valery Zikov, who are up for renewal this offseason, there is a good chance I end up letting them go. Like Zikov, he is a decent player, but he's not picking up the most points in the world. We might need somebody that's a little bit more offensively minded for the top 6. He's a two-way forward, and same with Keith. I would obviously keep Keith over him. And yeah, his face-off numbers haven't been as good in the last few years. I don't know what the reasoning is, but he was at 57% a number of years ago, but since then he's now only at 50%. So I think he's regressing a little bit, which is unfortunate, but more than likely I am going to have to make a tough decision and let him walk. We will see how much he's asking for when we get to the re-sign stage and all that, but I don't think I'm going to be able to give him a lot of term if we do re-sign him. But yeah, also guys like Darby up for renewal and being an RFA. He's somebody that I'd like to lock up for the future of this team, because I think he's an important piece. Same with guys like LaRose eventually, even though he's only at top 6. Claxton's still here, I think, for a number of years. Yeah, 4 more seasons at 1.5, so at least we have him locked up. Yeah, and then we also need guys like Byron Farrell to start stepping it up. He might end up being like our second line center next season, because he is a playmaker if we do end up letting go of Zikov. So there is a lot of promise still with this team. It's just all about trying to get some more good prospects into this system, which means, like I said, hopefully having a draft lottery pick. But anyways, before we get into this entire offseason, I do have a number of comments to go through. So the first one is from HockeyGuy88. He says, tough way to go. I would take Mateo Clark with your first pick. So Mateo Clark is somebody that I had on my radar in a sense as well. He is supposed to go early second round, but we are going to be taking him in the first round. He looks like he could be a low elite, but he doesn't have the best attributes, so I feel like he's not a low elite. But he might end up being one still at maybe a 60 overall or something like that. But he could end up being a pretty solid player for our team, and we definitely could always use more wingers in a sense, because if this guy is low elite and then gets into our top 6 and stuff like that in the future, then that will definitely help with the depth goal scoring that we have a little bit of a problem with right now. So I think Clark is definitely going to be somebody we end up taking in the first round, just because the rest of the first round, to me, at least where we're supposed to be drafting, it doesn't look the best. There's top 6 forwards and stuff like that, but then you got down here potentially top 9s and stuff like that. It doesn't really look like the best draft class, which is unfortunate for this team, because we definitely need more good prospects if we're going to be a competitive team for a long time. So that was that comment. The next few comments are from Nick Bacher Barons OC. He says, I think you should RFA restrict your top 4 guys and see if you could hit the reset button by having them claim picks. This team just doesn't have whatever it is. So he's saying basically all our RFAs, hopefully that some of them end up getting claimed in a sense by other teams. That way we could get compensation for some of them, which is kind of interesting. I am willing to I am going to be qualifying them regardless. I'm not going to be giving them contracts, but let me see. All expiring. There you go. Like Cole Mailinen, Hartnell, Harikala, Darby, Farrell, those type of guys. He's saying that basically if any of them get claimed to not match the offer, the only ones I'm probably willing to do that with is somebody on the defensive front, just because we have like way too much cap locked on the defensive front. So I don't know, Harikala, Coley Mine, and one of the two of those guys, if they get qualified, maybe I would let them walk. But guys like Hartnell, I think, and Darby and Farrell, those guys are all very important to this team's offensive core for the future. So all of these guys will definitely get re-signed. Darby especially. Like, I'd like to get Darby on like an 8-year deal if possible, because I know the fact this guy definitely could do really good damage if he continues to develop the way he is, because he's got really good shooting and all that. So I think it's just his offensive awareness that's a little bit low, but I do want to keep this guy for as long as possible if we can. Nick also says your team issues is it has a defensive center in the top two lines, each which one of them is a stud, but I honestly think it holds the team back, and you need a super defensive bottom six, and your last two defensemen are better off as two-way guys. Once playoff hits, depth scoring, third and fourth lines get exposed defensively. So he's saying we need more of a two-way forward down in like the third line type of role, type of where Claxton is, and also on the fourth line role, which I agree with, but he's saying basically we need somebody more like Zykov, I guess, down on the bottom six, which obviously we can't just throw Zykov to the bottom six, so we probably need to draft ourselves a two-way forward or somebody more defensively minded for the bottom six, because the bottom six is getting shredded in terms of that. But we do need somebody more offensively minded in the top six, somebody that's like a playmaker to play on the second line to help drive the offense behind Hartnell, or not behind Hartnell, behind Derek Keith. Right? Yeah, behind Derek Keith, because Derek Keith, he is a two-way forward, but he does have really good offensive capabilities. While you look at somebody like Zykov, he has some offensive capabilities, but his offensive awareness is pretty low, so that probably is why he's only picking up like around 60-something points. So if we pick up somebody that's like a playmaker in the draft eventually down the road and could be our second-line center, that'd be good. We could even try using somebody like Hartnell or Parrott on the second line as our second line center, but I wouldn't want these guys playing all on the top line just because they're our best players. But we could always try somebody else on that second line center to help drive the offense a little bit for our team. Nick also says, I would also like to mention I like your two-way forwards, but if they're not getting 70-plus points, you're better off filling your prospect pool with a medium top 9 and low top 6 two-way forwards to have third and fourth line. That way you could get out of the way of winning it all. Defensive third and fourth lines usually are mid in season, but are crucial to not getting overpowered offensively in the playoffs. So he's saying that's why they're not producing that well in the playoffs either. Like Zykov, why he hasn't been producing as much offensively is because he's a two-way forward in the playoffs. So yeah, I think we probably will end up letting go Zykov, and then hopefully we could have a second line that has a bit more offensive punch. And then his last and final comment says, I guess Mateo Clark for the pick, for the pick. Terrible draft. Yeah, it is a terrible draft, and Mateo Clark is more than likely going to be the choice. Now, one thing I actually did mention to him is the team also has a little bit of a lack of power forwards and physical players, because Avery Parrott is our only power forward, I'm pretty sure, on our entire roster. So that's definitely something we should be looking for, is getting a little bit more size on our team, because maybe we're just getting thrown around by teams because we're kind of a smaller team in that sense. And then the last and final comment is from Saturn Otaku. He says, some tough decisions ahead for this very disappointing performance. I don't envy your situation. I wouldn't know where to start. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a really tough task trying to figure out exactly what we want to do with this team going forward. Like I said, probably we're going to end up letting go of Zykov, which is a very tough loss for our center depth, but I think it's the right move in order to get ourselves back to a spot where we actually have cap space to work with and try and like get ourselves some new future good players. If we miss the playoffs next year, maybe we win the draft lottery randomly, and maybe we get ourselves a good prospect that could help like give this team a little bit more offensive capability or something like that. Well, Zykov just brought a very solid two-way game, but more likely he's going to be gone in this episode. So those were the comments I had. Let's get into this draft and take Mateo Clark, and hopefully he's a low lead. Hopefully he's not like a medium top 9, because that wouldn't be a great pick, but this isn't a good draft, so we're probably not going to get much out of the later rounds, so we need Clark to be something decent, and then hopefully the rest of these picks that we have in this episode are something just that could kind of help us out down the road. Like maybe somebody that's like kind of a wild card player, like somebody that's like, I don't know, like a top 9 forward that randomly develops to a 76 and plays on our 4th line down the road. That would be pretty nice. So yeah, we have the 19th overall pick, which is pretty nice. Let's take a look at the top 5 in this year's draft. Is Chicago and Philadelphia have the first 2 picks. So Chicago at number 1 is going to take a DFD by the name of Gary Mappletoft. Good shutdown DFD, kind of like an old school defenseman in that sense. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, he's a DFD. That's something I'd like to have in my Chicago franchise mode, but I don't have that just yet, so that's kind of cool that Chicago takes him. Philadelphia at number 2 is going to take Kim, who's a two-way defenseman, Skylar Kim. A little bit more offensively minded, this guy. As you can see, quick pick, shrug it off, heat seeker, thunderclap, off the rush, and tape to tape. So that guy's kind of almost like Zykov in a sense, our defenseman, because I'm pretty sure he has quick pick as his zone ability. Then there's Kalinin, so 3 defensemen in the top 4, and this guy's a 74 high top 4, and he goes 3rd overall. Yeah, this is maybe one of the worst draft classes we've seen, only 2 elite players so far. So that means there might be some random steals throughout the later rounds, but yeah, this first round's not looking too good. Like, this guy's going to definitely be an NHL defenseman, but is he going to reach, like, top 4 potential? Is he going to be an elite player at some point? I really don't know. Like, he definitely has upside, but he has, like, potentially no zone abilities either, which is not good. So, 3 defensemen in the top 3. I don't think I've seen that in a while. And then there's a grinder. There's the best forward in the draft, and that is Clarence Knighty. It was a center grinder. That's something we could use, honestly, if we had drafted high up. Because we do not have a lot of like physical, grindy, bottom 6 type of players on our team. But this guy's also got good face-off capabilities. Like, he might end up winning a Selkie because he's that decent. Buffalo at number 5 is going to take Ruidel. That's interesting. Santiago Ruidel. Offensive defenseman. Yeah, that might be the best pick of the draft. I'm surprised he didn't go 3rd overall. Because he's a 78. He's got elite potential. He's an OFD with some definite good upside. Got good shooting, good passing, good skating. Good spinoramas too, which is kind of cool. So there's Buffalo's pick at number 5. Let's send to our pick at 19. And get our guy that hopefully should be a low lead. If he's not a low lead, hopefully he's at least a top 6 forward. Because I don't want him to be a random top 9 and then we get stuck with somebody that's not going to develop, because that would be pretty annoying. So Mateo Clerc, you're listed as a gem. Hopefully you are that gem for us, because we need you to be a good pick, and then hopefully we could just find some random wild cards throughout the last bit of this draft. So Mateo Clerc, welcome aboard. He is a top 6 only. I was hoping he'd be a low league, but whatever. Top 6 ain't too bad. There he is, 62 overall, so a little bit of a lower overall, but at least he's not a top 9. He does have pretty solid passing, 77 out of the gate, but his offensive awareness isn't really up there just yet. But if that develops, he could end up being something decent for us. And yeah, we'll probably let him marinate in Edmonton for a while in the WHL, just because you don't need to rush him into the lineup. Let's send him to our next pick at 52. See if we could find ourselves some steals here now. Hopefully we can, which it's kind of like a barren wasteland out here, so it's kind of hard to tell who's actually going to be good. Maybe Vico. Oh yeah, Vico. Yeah, I could take Vico. I was looking at this guy before. He is 4 years out, and he potentially has good shooting, which is good. He's also listed as a sniper. So, I mean, if we even get a guy that has like really good shooting and solid offensive awareness, if we put him on the power play, he might be able to produce. So, I think Mika Vico is going to be our pick here in this second round. So, welcome aboard, Vico. Let's see how good you are. Low top 6 is not terrible, I guess, but I've never seen them really pan out that well. But for a second rounder, maybe he will pan out. And his shooting category is pretty solid. I mean, it's good at the AHL level already, I'd say. So maybe he's a wild card. Maybe he becomes something for us. Maybe he doesn't. But hopefully he ends up doing that, because I would like to have all these players make the NHL like some capacity, but some of them obviously won't do that. Now here's our next pick, I think, for sure, all out of the gate, because this guy's also low top 6, but he's a power forward, which, like I was mentioning earlier, we don't really have a whole lot of physical, like, offensive players, like, kind of, like, big guys. This guy's 6'4", 212. That guy could add some more size to our lineup if he ends up making it. And apparently he does have a strength in goal scoring and nose for the net, as well as puck protection. So Yeah, let's take Ken Allison here with our third pick. Why not? So there you go, 61 overall, low top 6. Let's just hope that these guys pan out, but if they don't, hopefully they're good AHLers, and maybe they get a chance to get up to like a 76, which might be usable on a fourth line, because at least, like, if we go through a tough stretch where we have to use AHL guys, hopefully those are the type of guys that end up making it for this team. Oh wow, we're already into the bottom 6 forwards, and we're only in round 4. Yikes. Well, I don't think we're going to be able to find much else. I know there is a low elite that we were looking at that's supposed to go 7th round, right? Yeah, so I don't know if I want to take him just yet. I might take him in the 6th round, but I am going to just try and find ourselves some other steals ahead of time. So, do we want another goalie prospect? 19 years of age, probably not. Maybe a low elite power forward, probably not, but maybe could be a decent pick there. Lane DeMarchi. If this guy is a power forward, he's probably a low top 9, my guess. But yeah, let's take another pick. We're taking a bunch of left wingers here, but I'm trying to find ourselves some power forwards and good offensive guys that could help fill out our team. Let's go, low elite power forward. Let's go. That was a good pick there, and he does have abilities. Are you kidding me? I don't think I ever saw that he had abilities. Wow, that was a really good pick. He's 19, which is the only problem, and he's 54, but he does have abilities. He has Crease Crasher, Relentless, Back at Ya, and No Contest. That's exactly what we really need from this team, though. A power forward potential guy that could come in and, yeah, throw some hits, shoot some pucks, do all that type of thing. And this guy might be able to do that for our team down the road. Like, even if he gets into like a 4th line role, it'd be good to have some size in our lineup. So I do really like that pick. That might be one of my best deals in this franchise mode, because I didn't expect him to have actually a zone ability, because I don't think our scout actually checked that out yet with him. So that was a random shot in the dark, and we get ourselves a good pick. Like it. We'll take another random pick here. Maybe we could go with the goaltender since he's a starter potential. And I don't know how long we're going to have Cox for. So yeah, let's do Walker Volk, which is an interesting name. 49 overall, medium starter. He had actually some really good stats in the United States. Obviously, that's all just generated stats, but still. And there's a look at his attributes, even though I don't really know how to read goalies that well. He's really athletic by comparison to his other stats, but we'll see how good he ends up being for our team down the road. If he ends up being a starter, or if he ends up being an AHL starter, that type of thing. And we'll take the low lead here in the 6th round, and then I don't really know what I'm going to take with for the 7th round at all. I might take this other low lead, to be honest, because this guy could be a low lead too. Stanley Burns. We'll take Sergei Bobkov, though, with this pick. He doesn't look really that great, but he is 5 years out, so he's going to be a little bit of a project development player, but maybe he becomes something for our team, and that's what we want. And he is a low elite 48 overall playmaker. Jeez, that's a very low overall to start off with, but he's 18 at least, so hopefully he just like jumps up to like, I don't know, like a 60 something after 1 year, because I have had low elites that just jump up out of nowhere. So let's hope that he ends up being something. And it will probably take that other guy that's supposed to go undrafted, just because he could be low elite. Stanley Burns. He actually looks like he has good shooting, so that might actually be a good pick. Apparently no weakness as well, for sure. Yeah, let's take Stanley Burns with the 7th round pick. And he's a low top 6 only. Damn, I was hoping for low lead. 57 overall sniper with some pretty solid shooting. So I don't know if he becomes something or not. But we drafted a ton of wingers in this episode. But at least some of them might be able to help us out down the road. So we got Clark, Vico, Allison, DeMarchi, Volk, Bobkov, and Burns. Hopefully Clark and DeMarchi at least make the NHL. Vico and Allison, since they're low top 6, are kind of wild cards. Volk as a goaltender maybe makes it, and then Bobkov and Burns, since they're low elite, or well, Bobkov is low elite, hopefully he makes it. And since Burns is low top 6, I don't know if he'll make it since he was a 7th rounder, but you never really know. Because with draft glory teams, it seems like sometimes 7th rounders end up actually making it. So let's get to this resign stage, and then we'll get into the entire off-season portion, or the rest of the off-season. See if there's any former players in free agency. But yeah, this team, I'm really not looking forward to this resign stage, just because letting go of Zikov is definitely a tough thing to do. But I think it's the right move for this team, just because of our cap situation. We free up more cap space for guys that actually need that money down the road. Like, eventually, like, I want to have Cole Minot stay with this team because we have two guys that are actually listed as the top two defenders with him and Zikov. So it'd be nice to keep Cole Minot for long term, but I won't have that type of money if I was to lock up Zikov and stuff like that. So, oh, that's funny. One of our scouts, his last name is Volk too, but he wasn't scouting the region where that Volk is that we drafted. That would have been funny. So there you go. There's all our scouts re-signed, hopefully. And let's get to this tough part of this episode. Are we gonna resign? We have 41 million. That's not actually that bad, but we do have a lot of big name UFAs. Oh man, this is gonna be tough. I am not looking forward to this at all. Let me sign some of our prospects already so we could get some into our system. Oh man, yeah, we're gonna have to let go of some of these guys that are UFAs in the AHL because some of them aren't gonna pan out. Make room for some of our new younger guys like Frank, for example. Oh man. This is depressing how much work is going to be done this offseason with this team. But hopefully some of these guys pan out that we're giving ELCs to, because that'd be nice. Yeah, we'll let go of Garachev as well. I'll let go of a couple guys that I know for sure aren't going to make the NHL. Cassian's kind of a wild card because he could end up being a good fourth liner for us. Like, he's been like kind of like a depth guy. Eichel wants a one-way deal. I might honestly sign Eichel to the one-way deal, but it depends on our cap situation here. I will sign Koskinen since he's a 68 at 20. That's actually pretty good for a starter prospect. Hardigan, on the other hand, nah, I'm not going to sign you. Unfortunately, you're only a low backup as well, though. Let me go to the SAR phase. We're going to qualify all of them for now, and then we'll take a look at what they actually want in terms of money. See if any of them are actually worth signing already for, but more than likely I'll have to leave them all qualified for the entire offseason like we normally do, just because it's good to kind of get them as low as possible, because some of them will drop their asking price quite a bit. Because like right now I don't feel safe giving Cox like $9 million for 8 years at all, so I'm going to qualify him, and hopefully he drops his asking price quite a bit. There's no unsigned guys I don't think I want to give a contract to yet. I probably want those guys to just marinate for a little bit longer. So I'll leave all that. It's good. And then, yeah, the rest of these UFAs. Let's start off with Walzer. Walzer's a kind of, yeah, he's a cheap guy. I might honestly just keep him around for that price point. Let me just take a look at some other guys, though, like Farrell. Farrell's kind of expensive for a top 6 defenseman, but we kind of need him. He's not the best defenseman in the world, but he's like, there's nobody really better that could replace him. Like, we could replace him with Eichel, hypothetically. Eichel did have just a really good season in the AHL, or back-to-back really good seasons in the AHL. He is an OFD, which is interesting. I am going to sign both of them, I think. We should have the cap space to get both of them back and all our RFAs, I think. But what about Zikov? What is he wanting? Yeah, see, we can't give him almost $10 million for 6 years, because that handicaps us for next offseason as well. And I can't give him an 8-year deal because he wouldn't want over $10 million. Yeah, I think Zikov's got to go, unfortunately. It will free us up a lot of cap space, and then next offseason should be a little bit more flexible for our team, which is good. And then if also any former players head to free agent, like if he's a free agent down the road in the future, then we could bring him back to this team. But I don't think he's coming back, because I think we're giving a chance to guys like maybe Cassian also could be like a fourth line center. Yeah, maybe like a fourth line center for us. So yeah, let's give everybody here that's a UFA except for Zikov basically a contract. Just because I do not feel, I don't feel like Zikov is the type of player we need anymore. It really sucks saying that because he's a good leader in the locker room as well with our team. So letting him walk is a bit of a painful one, but I think it's the right move for this team in the organization. Just in terms of freeing up some cap space and stuff too. It's basically like the same thing we went through when we let go of Bickle. So we also have Duncan. What is he wanting? He doesn't want that much. Not bad. Not bad at all. What is our goalie situation again? Cox and Duncan and Taze. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know why I signed Taze long term, but we are probably going to run the three-headed monster of them. Again, it's not really a monster, I guess, because they're not really that good, but Well, we both signed Duncan again for that price at 1 year, because I wouldn't mind keeping around as like another goaltender as well. And I think that's good. Yeah, let's advance today, see if we get all those guys to accept. And then, yeah, we have to make the tough decision about letting go of Zikov. Let's see. Hey, we got them all back already for UFAs. I am surprised. And all our RFAs are qualified. And we have 35 million, which is reasonable because Kolemainen, Hartnell, Heracala, Darby, Farrell, those guys are all going to demand a decent amount, I think. Darby's one of these guys I want to lock up for 8 years, but let's see, what does he want? 7.8. I could try the 85% trick on him on 8 years. I don't know if it would work at this time of the off season, but I'm going to open up my calculator on my phone and do that, I think, or try to. I want him locked up because I think he's going to be a good goal scorer for us. It might be a bad contract to give him an 8-year deal, and also, but basically the cap space we're letting go from Zikov, we have the ability to give an 8-year deal to somebody like Darby, I think. So $7.8 million, and we're going to times that by 0.85. Looks like we might be able to get him to 6.63. Somewhere around, yeah, 6.65 for 8 years. If we could get him on that type of deal, I think that's definitely something I'd be willing to do. Otherwise, we'll probably have him qualified a little bit longer. So we'll see if Darby accepts that. All these other RFAs, though, are going to be RFAs again this offseason. And now we're going to have to make the tough decision about letting go of Zikov. We drafted him when? 3rd overall in 2023, so the first year draft pretty much. That wasn't part of the expansion or whatever. 88 offensive awareness and all that stuff. Yada, yada, yada. There's his abilities. He actually doesn't have a zone ability. I forgot about that. But yeah, he was a pretty solid 2A forward for us. Like, he's had some ups and downs in his career, definitely. Like, 80 points was his highest point total, and that was in his 3rd season. Then he got a little bit, like, he regressed quite a bit, but then he got better. Then he regressed quite a bit. Now he's kind of regressing still. Doesn't have the best plus minus, obviously, because he was an early draft pick of this team. But good amount of power play points, good amount of game-winning goals as well. Some short-handed points, which is always nice. Really good face-off numbers throughout his career. Good hits, good block shots, good takeaways. But not enough takeaways, really, for him to win a Selke. And then in his playoffs, when he went to the Stanley Cup Finals, he had 18 points in those 23 games. And since then, he's only had 12 points in his last 18 games, I think. So he hasn't been the same type of player since then. But Valery Zikov, best of luck to you, man, in free agency. Hopefully you sign with a team that isn't in our division, and maybe you go on to win a Stanley Cup at some point. There you go. He is gone. Hopefully he doesn't sign with Vegas, because that would be kind of annoying, considering we lost to him back-to-back times in the first round. So that was a tough one to let go of, but it makes sense for the team. Let's advance a day, see if we get Darby back on that 8-year deal, because that'd be nice for this team, and he does accept it. So Ted Darby has accepted an 8-year extension at a pretty good price point. Now the rest of these players on this team are qualified, and I think we have enough cap space to get them back all qualified, I hope. If we end up having to have one sit out an entire year, so be it, but there we go. So the team's going through a little bit of a retool, but it is going to be a good team, I hope, in the next few years again. Hopefully, like, if we miss playoffs this year, like I said, hopefully we end up getting a good draft lottery pick in and all that type of thing. The only way this team would get better right now is if there's a former player in free agency, which more than likely there's none, because the only big name we let go of so far was Bickle, and he won't be a free agent for the next, like, 6 seasons, I think. So more than likely, it's not even worth taking a look at free agency for former players. Yeah, it's basically all our RFAs currently that are out there. Yeah. Who's interested in Zikov right now, out of curiosity? He's asking for more on the market. The Rangers and Vegas is interested in him. If Vegas signs him, I swear to God, I'm going to be mad. Because like, it kind of makes sense for him to go to Vegas, though, in a way. Because I think Eichel was getting old and whatnot, so it makes sense for him to go to Vegas. But do I really want him to go to a team that just won the Stanley Cup and also beat us 2 times in the first round? Definitely not. So, yeah, there's that. And, yeah, I guess let's begin our... wait, actually, do we need an associate coach quickly? We do need an associate coach. So we don't have an associate coach, but let's just try and see if there's a coach out there that might help out our team a little bit. George Carl. 53%. Anybody above that? Oh, 57 did I see? Oh, Joe Thornton. Let's go. We use Joe Thornton as an associate coach. Yeah, we're going to definitely do that. Jumbo Joe's going to be our associate coach. I think I like the sounds of that. He works good with the team as well, so boom. Joe Thornton as the associate coach. And that's the only thing we're going to do in terms of that stuff this offseason. Let's advance all the way to August the 1st and see if any of our RFAs get qualified. At this rate, I hope that they don't, because our team's going to be even worse next season. But if we end up losing a player to qualification, it might be okay. Let's advance to the 1st of August. There you go. I want to thank you for your generous financial compensation exception. You're welcome, Joe. Welcome to the team. So Valio Holy, that's an RFA from the AHL. Vandenbush, RFA from the AHL. Licht from the AHL. Persinger. All our NHL ones are going to wait till the end, my guess. Harakala accepts. Okay, there's one of our NHLers. Svoboda. Don't even know who Svoboda is, to be honest. Don't remember when we drafted him. Let's go back to our RFA status here. We got $24 million. How much did Harakala get? Out of curiosity, Harakala got 5.5. That's not bad. What do we got still for RFAs? Kolemainen, Farrell, Hartnell, and Cox. We're going to continue leaving those guys as RFAs for now, just until their prices drop as much as possible. So probably right till the beginning of the season, but yeah, I'm interested to see what this team looks like. Obviously, it's going to be a lot worse center depth-wise, but I think Claxon or Farrell, like Byron Farrell, this guy who just accepted, he might end up being our second-line center, so that might not be too bad. Kolemainen's accepted as well, nice. So we still got Hartnell who's holding out, and we still got Cox that's holding out. Let's go and give them some contracts since we probably have the cap space now to get both of them back. We have $19 million. What do you want, Hartnell? 6.1, definitely going to do that. And what about you, Cox? 3.3, boom. So we got everybody back, and we still have like 10 million in cap space, which is nice because that also will help us next off season, because we definitely need that money. There we go. So they have both accepted. That's perfect. And now we get to set up our lines for next season, which I probably will pre-record next episode. So yeah, just a little heads up on that front, but I will probably pre-record next episode because I do like pre-recording the season simulations. Let me just go best lines for a second. Who's scratched? Oh yeah, I forgot about Danner. Yeah, Farrell, maybe I didn't even need to bring him back, but ooh. Yeah, we can't really run two offensive defensemen on the same pairing. We can't really do that. Interesting. What about our two guys? Oh, Kolemainen and Zikov actually have chemistry. I didn't even realize that. Who has the better shooting? 4 stars and 4 stars. Okay, we'll go with that then. And then Moroza's DFD, so we'll leave him on his right side. But yeah, Bouwmeester is up to an 80, which is nice. Who is going to be his defense pairing? Probably doesn't look like Farrell, unless that's just a glitch still. Yeah, it's not going to be Farrell, maybe. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have re-signed Farrell. Danner probably wouldn't work either because he's an offensive defenseman. God damn it. Oh, no. Do I leave this as a 2 offensive defensemen on the top 6? Yikes. Like, the only way we can negate that minus, really, is probably, yeah, bring one of our 2-way defenders all the way down. Yeah, I don't know what the heck I would do. Oh man, this is not good. I mean, Danner would be getting rushed kind of in, so we probably, yeah, I'm gonna send down Danner. Who's the other ones? I'll probably send in Danner and Eichel, and we'll just probably use Farrell, because Farrell is a defensive defenseman or 2-way defenseman. So I'd rather send the 2 OFDs down for another year. Eichel is definitely on the cusp, though, of being an NHLer, and Danner is as well, but I'm gonna send both of them down, because I feel like they're not ready to make that jump just yet. Let's just go best lines here for now, and best lines down here for now. And let's see what we got again. Yeah, I'll probably go something like this. Even though there is a -3, I don't know why there is. But it's probably our best bet. Just to make this team as good as possible. I could do something like that. Maybe. Yeah, maybe I'll put Moroz on the top 6. Just to help out Bouwmeester a little bit. So Taze has been sent back down to the AHL, which is interesting. We will go with Wong on this side. Vandenbush up here, maybe? Yeah, okay. That works. But I don't want LaRose getting that little of ice time, but... because he does have that offensive capability. Oh, I don't know why Parrot's all the way down here, though. Damn. We don't want Parrot all the way down there. Let's try something like... this. Yeah, something more like this. So Parrot, Keith, Hartnell, Jorgensen, Farrell, Darby, Vandenbush, Claxton, Wong, and a fourth line of Walzer, Cassian, and LaRose. You know, our team actually doesn't look that bad. We'll probably still make the playoffs, but I just don't really know how far we're going to go in the playoffs. Yeah, I like the looks of this team still. Even with the loss of Zikov, our center depth is actually okay because Farrell's jumped up. Claxton's still on the third line, but he could get moved. Actually, Claxton's going to move to his second line. Farrell's going to be the third liner. Just because that +5, I like that. AHL-wise, let's just make sure nobody important is scratched. Koskarena should be playing since he's a young goalie prospect, so we'll take Taze out. Ooh, Taze is listed still as a backup. Yeah, I'll call up Taze because Taze is going to be our third-string goalie. That way we have 3 goalies that we could run potentially in the NHL, and that way Koskarena gets some AHL time because we need Koskarena to get some development because he might be a future starting goalie for this team. So there is that. And then Frank, I'd like to get in the lineup. He's a defenseman who's old and not going to reach their potential anymore. Probably value Holy almost. Technically Eichel, but Eichel I'd rather use in the NHL at that point. Yeah, probably value Holy. Yeah, he's not going to reach that top 4 potential at this rate. So I'll give Frank an opportunity since he's 21. And there we go. So that is our team for this season. Going to be an interesting year. I mean, I think this team actually has a good chance. Making the playoffs, maybe making it further in the first round as well. Like, it's not the best team on paper in terms of, like, the third and fourth line left wing and right wing. Or, well, at least fourth line right wing. But it should be good enough to win us games. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode. So, next episode, we'll simulate the season. We'll see what this team could do, and hopefully they could go pretty far this year. If not, then we might be looking at letting go of more players next offseason and going through a little bit of a retool and all that type of thing. So, I'm going to link down below, and I'll see you guys next time.